Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, joined by Carl Brannan, and this is the monthly review for November. Been a short month in terms of games. There's only 3 games to talk about. It's been a depressing month, though, because there's no wins. And that's basically all it really is to it, isn't it? Obviously, the stadium stuff coming out as well, the 360 view of the stadium, which I had a look at the other day, and it's really good. And obviously the season ticket pricing, which we might as well talk about the stadium before the football. But 360 view, I looked at it. Everywhere looks like you're getting all right. I mean, I think it's a bit hard to judge personally because the pitch looks the same in all the seats. And obviously when you're there, the distance is going to be a lot. You need to be in person to see the distance properly and not virtual. But it looks good. The seats are very sheer dropped, not as much as that photo that was done on Fishland, but still they look quite sheer, But it looks good, and the season ticket pricing, I think the consensus on Twitter was that it's not as bad as people thought. They were always going to go up, even if we'd stayed at Goodison, they were going to go up. They go up every year, bar the years that they froze it 2 years ago. So I expected them to rise anyway with a new stadium, but I think most people that are season ticket holders were on Twitter saying it's not that bad. They're happy to do it, etc. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the stadium? Did you give the 360 a go, Carl?
Yeah, it looks really good, and it's like you said, it's one of those where you'll have to gauge it when you get there, and I am really excited. When it comes to the season ticket, I think it's hard for me to judge as someone who's he's never had one, and most of my going to watch Everton being where I am in the country is a few games a season. But I mean, if you average it out at what the tickets are going to end up being, it's that simple, really. And you look at it, and if you are going to go to all the home games as well, like if you're in the area, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's the big dependencies on obviously where we are as a team, sort of thing. Like if we're even a decent mid-table side in a stadium that good, I think the price is worth it at the end of the day. I think I can imagine there is extra bonuses as well to having a season ticket. Again, never had one, so I can't really say. Besides just going to the game, so I think it's one of those where you see the amount of season tickets that are starting to creep over to over £1,000 now. Even like West Ham are quite expensive, I think, and West Ham are like all right. They've had a few days, but I still think. Again, I think the big part of season ticket is the team on the pitch, isn't it? Really, I think, and obviously what the atmosphere is going to be like. But we still look very close to the pitch, which I like. It doesn't look like if we score a goal in the derby, people are just going to plummet into the abyss, which is always a positive. And yeah, so I don't know what to say. I think it's a thing where I'm definitely going to try go to a few games next season. So I think it's going to be a thing where I'll see when we get there. But yeah, hopefully there's a better team on the pitch than what we've been seeing so far this season.
Yeah, because I looked and I think my dad's renewing his, and he wants to ideally go behind the goals, which I think is 780 because he's in the Gladys at the minute. And I was looking, and I was like, I think the cheapest is 780 to be honest. When I was looking, or around that figure, and I was like, it's not too bad. People are saying it's not too bad, and I'm like, fairs. But then I was thinking, God, imagine paying 780 quid to watch what we're watching now. I was like,
if you want complete honesty, I'll be hands on, and I'll probably get shit for this, and I don't care. I'm not touching the possibility of a season ticket until we're at least not battling relegation.
It gives me massive respect for the people that go week in, week out.
Yeah, but as someone who's not from Liverpool as well, getting there, it's not awful. It's not horrendous. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours probably, depending on if you get lucky with the wait times. Because I'd be getting a train, but I just can't imagine being one of those poor sort. Because there's definitely someone around my area of the country who's got a season ticket at Goodison, and he's dragging himself there. Well, saying that, a lecturer I had at university, so in Derby, had a season ticket, lived around that area, would drive up with his son for to the point where it was getting towards the end of the uni year in third year, and he was just going to me, "Do you want my ticket to go to Goodison?"
Oh, nice.
Because I can't imagine. It's from Derby, it's probably in a car, certainly, but again, 2 hours traveling to 4 hours there and back to watch that. Just couldn't do it. I just mentally would not be able to do it, and they're spending that much money. Again, credit to the people who do it, because
Yeah, and the ones who go to the away games as well, because fair play to the people who go home and away because they're travelling
Yeah,
up.
the people who go to the away games are ace as well because the
Yeah,
away atmosphere is always good, even with my crap.
yeah. Everyone always says that Everton's away atmosphere is good, so fair play to them as well. Because to do it at home is one thing, but then to like go up and down the country and watch some of the stuff we're turning out at the minute
I
is
can't imagine doing like I don't know if we've done any rough-uns yet, but like we played Southampton, so I've got oh no, we did Southampton. I can't imagine doing that. I cannot imagine doing that.
and like when we
Going
play.
all the way to Southampton to watch that. I mean, we'll get to it, but
Yeah, well, we might as well start with Southampton because it's the first game, and like you said, we sort of lent into it. But yeah, 1-0 to St Mary's. Adam Armstrong in the 85th minute. Stats wise, Southampton dominated possession, which I think is the standard now for them. Um, the one difference to their usual thing is that they managed to win and get a goal. Yeah, this was just tough. And we created more chances, but even like 1.56 xg off 16 shots, which, by the way, I think as we go through the games, I'll mention them because the overriding theme I got from this, and I don't know if I said it last month as well, is that we are having shots from absolutely everywhere, and not one of them is good quality chance creating. 16 shots and that much xg just shows you just you're all doing an Idrissa Gueye and knocking it, from miles away, or they're just not great, goal scoring opportunities. But yeah, talk us through this because when Armstrong scored, it was a dummy run. It was a great piece of play by them, a dummy run by Archer, which managed to get Armstrong on the back post. And it just felt like we'd seen goals like this before this season. And obviously Beto had his ruled off, chalked off for offside. But yeah, talk me
was
through
that
this
the
game.
one that definitely wasn't offside?
Yeah, I think
The
so.
one
Yeah,
that just was never offside and it got given as offside? Was that this game?
don't know. Possibly, I can't remember now if that was another one or not. Either way, just I think a 1-1 draw would have irked people as well, just because of this is Southampton. They're a team around us at the minute, and they do always say, don't they, if you can't beat the teams around you, sort of thing. Yeah, it was just disappointing, isn't it, to lose to these in the way we did. We look a
Yeah.
bit toothless.
I think it, and I do apologise. You might hear people watching. You might hear a mouse clicking here because I've got it up here. But yeah, I've got it up here, and I think it's just an overlying problem. It's the midfield for us, and it's just every game we get absolutely annihilated in the midfield. And I actually don't think Gay and Mangala are bad. I think they're usually putting in pretty solid performances. But again, I think this game highlights it. There's no one with the ability to carry the ball in midfield and create a chance, like a deeper player. And the other one is Ndai, who I'm going to be brutally honest, right? Put McNeil back on the wing now. He had his run of form. Put him on the wing now. It's done. He were crap against these. He didn't play against West Ham, which is his fault, and he was pretty good against Brentford. But I think what we're missing out on is, and I think McNeil's decent at carrying the ball. I don't think he's bad necessarily, but I just think Ndai's better at it, and I think we're so desperate for someone um, who can carry the ball in midfield. And I think another big problem as well is whenever we get it on the wing, we're just spamming crosses. Just cross,
Yeah,
cross, cross. Why not have the player who can actually cross the ball on the wing?
I was just about to say what we would get back is a decent crosser out on the wings that could
Yeah.
cross the ball again.
Like I don't think Ndai's as bad. I saw some people saying, but I don't actually think he's that bad of a crosser, which surprised me because Marseille fans were absolutely drilling him for how bad he was on the wing. I don't think he's nearly as bad as what they made out he was. I actually think he's a pretty decent winger, but I don't know if that's just because of how bad we are. Whenever he touches the ball, he looks miles better than anyone on the pitch for us. But yeah, I just think it was. I think this was probably like the end of the dream run for Michael Keane as well. He was absolutely horrendous. Both centre backs were. Again, I'm still on the train where you could Um, I wouldn't be against dropping Tarkowski either, even though I do think he looked a lot better in the next game, but we'll get to that when we speak about it. It's one of those where just, like you said, the XG, if I just scroll up a little bit here, give me a second, 1.5 XG from 16 shots. I'm not going to sit and do the maths, but that's like what? Point one something per shot. And, but I think one big thing you notice is how many big chances we waste as well. I think I mentioned this on a news video I did when we mentioned sacking Dyche, but I think we've created like 20 big chances and missed 16 of them. Like that's. I think a lot of teams miss more big chances than they make naturally, or most games would end really high scoring. But it's with us, it's like, and I think it's a theme of this month really. Just never looked like we were going to score a goal. Just
Yeah,
never looked like we were going to score a goal. And I think it's just, like I said, it's a credit to those away fans since we've had two far down trips to London this month and to London and Southampton, and the players have given that. And I think this entire month there's two players that can hold their heads high, maybe three if you're being nice. And so I think it's just like, I don't think it helps that Aaron Ramsdale had a good game as well. I don't have his
yeah,
exact stats, and I don't. But Aaron Ramsdale had a really good game. Was probably Southampton's best player. Um, but yeah, it's just so disappointing to watch, and I think it's just it feels like we can't do the basic things in attack right. Like defensively, we've looked a lot better this month. So again, compared to some of the other months we've done, I've got relatively no complaints after this game defensively. Or very little complaints. I think we've looked a lot closer to last season defensively. But then it's weird. We've gone from being quite free scoring at the start of the season, finding ways to score and not being able to defend, to it's like we can only do one at a time.
yeah.
Which it's weird because this
That
season
last
we've shown we
season
can
as
score
well.
goals, we've shown we can defend, but we can only do one at a time seemingly.
I swear it was like that towards bits of last season as well, where we were creating defensively, we were great, couldn't finish our chances, and then we went on a bit where we were winning, but we were letting a couple more goals in, and then he got his and then we sort of went towards the end, started to be a bit more shut up shop again. Yeah, it's almost like when we do defend and we are keeping clean sheets, we're I mean, last year was different because we were creating chances, we just weren't finishing any of them. But this year, I think we're just struggling to create as well, which is really, really weird. I don't know why we're sort of falling back, but the whole arc of Sean Dyche at Everton is that like we're just not scoring as many goals or enough goals to move upwards. Um, Not as many as we should be anyway. I think that's one of the main arching problems with him is that we're just struggling to score goals under him. Which obviously, when you're down there, the most important bit is keeping the goals out, and then because you can points and you get points for draws. But after last season, everyone was like, "Oh, we're going to push on from that." To do that, we'd have to score more, and we've come in with the same sort of mentality of let's just keep goals from going in one end, and we'll sort of see what we land with on the other end. Which will mean a similar season to last year, where I think we'll be safe. But I'm not expecting us to be quite high. I'm expecting us to be down there still.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing is it's where um we're not creating enough chances, but weirdly, I feel like when we do, they're really good chances.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, we've got Cavalier up front. Well, I'm going to be completely honest. The worst I've seen player wise from him since he had this sort of little resurgence, since he started to, find his feet as a footballer. Obviously, when he was playing right wing back and stuff, I'm not comparing to them, but since he sort of like found his feet a bit as a striker, he's been horrendous, man. I know. A part of me wants to say it's not all his fault because look, he's getting so little chances all game that he's not really able to warm up into games at all. But like, you know, he scored 2 goals from an XG of basically from 4. His non-penalty, like, if you go on like Football, you can actually look at the player profiles. His non-penalty XG is actually quite good. He's in the top 30% of strikers. If this does it how it does it on other stuff, that's in Europe's top 5 leagues. But I'm going to say this is in the Premier League. So again, he's in the top third of strikers in the Premier League. He's in the top 20% for shots, top 30% for shots on target. So you look at this and everything I read there sounds like, okay, he should be scoring goals, but he's not. I don't like to take XG as like gospel, but it's like I'm pretty sure he was the biggest underperformer in the league last season.
Yeah, he was one off.
I guarantee he's up there again this season, and it's like the problem with us is if we create more chances, he'll score goals, and I think that kind of proves it for us. But I just don't. I think he's like he's one of those where if he played up front for Brighton, he'd probably get 12, 13, 14 goals a season. But ironically, we need like, I hate to say this, someone like a Chris Wood, where he's probably not going to get much all game, but when he gets it, he'll bury it. And I don't think that's all Calvert-Lewin's fault. I think a lot of that is down to the lack of an ability to create chances as well. I think the style of play doesn't help him. And I do think under a better manager with some better players, he probably could score more goals. But it's like, I think it's really frustrating. And it's every chance I get, I mention how frustrating Calvert-Lewin is because I do think he's a lot better than what he leads on when he plays for us. And I think it's almost like the opposite of Beto, where I think Beto's pretty crap, if I'm going to be honest with you. So I kind of push the agenda a little bit more with him. But with Calvert-Lewin there, I don't know. I've seen that there's something there, and I know he's had a lot of injuries. But even sometimes when he'll play for us now, he'll do little things or something where I'll go, "Oh, that's really good," and then he'll just when he'll get in front of goal and just kick the ball at the goalkeeper, and I'll be like, how have you just took the ball down from the air and took it past someone quite easily, and then you've got a one-on-one and scuffed it? It's so frustrating because again, I like him in a sense of where like, as a person and stuff, I like him and I want him to do well. But it's so frustrating when what the one thing we need is goals so badly is goals, even if we're just 1-0 in it every game. I think if he's a bit more clinical, 2 or 3 extra wins this season, maybe.
Yeah, I was just looking then and like I think part of it is like we're saying, back to his peak. I think his peak was quite clearly Carlo Ancelotti's time here. And I was looking at it like I think it was like 14 goals he's got, and they're all in the box, all quite close to the 6-yard box. And I think obviously injuries are a big part of this. But under Deitch, he's like reverted back to what he was before Ancelotti, where he's almost trying to do too much. He's dropping deep. He's trying to drop deep. The amount of times I'm like, I'll whip a ball in and Calvert-Lewin's not in the box. And I'm like, oh no, don't whip the ball in. The focal point of the team's not there. And he's running into the channels and the holding up to bring others into play, which he's good at. But I feel like because sometimes how deep we are, he's not getting the support around him when he does do that.
Yeah.
And I think if we're going to play him, we'd need to play him again like Ancelotti did, where it's basically like, you're the focal point, you're the striker. Ideally, stay in the box, just, get on the end of the crosses and just play. And that's what I think he's best at. Because his dribbling, I don't think he's a great dribbler of the ball, like compared to some of the strikers we've seen in the Premier League. But he's got an all right shot and he's great in the air. I just think again, it'd help if we had somebody out that could cross. Although we are second for accurate crosses, but we could be a lot more if we had Dwight McNeil.
I think a lot of accurate crosses are coming from Young.
Yeah, like just
I feel like that's what I'm hearing. I feel like when we do get decent crosses, he's nowhere, and it's like I don't know. Is it a thing where like the managers aren't just telling him, no, you're doing this, and obviously he's not going to sit, or Dyche said it to him and he's gone, but I don't want to play like that. Because obviously you're not saying that to Carlo Ancelotti. You're not saying to Carlo Ancelotti, no, I don't want to do that, mate. To Sean Dyche, you can probably say it to Sean Dyche and he might listen to you. But it's like it's that thing where I kind of get it. And if this was last season where we had no one who was really there with the ball at their feet, like someone who can get it and move with it. We've got two players now in and Dwight McNeil who can both get the ball at feet and go with it in attacking positions. I think the one thing we're missing is a winger or someone who can really score. Ironically, someone in the mould of a Dele Alli, um, who may be able to then allow Calvert-Lewin to drop a bit deeper and overtake and stuff. But I think the thing is, I look at our team and I look at that right wing position, and I think a winger who can cut inside and score a few suddenly changes the dynamic of this team completely. I just think, and I think that's such a weird thing to say because I do think there's still so many more positions we need first. A left back. Young's pink up, but we still need a right back. I think we need another midfielder, to be honest with you. And I just think it's weird because there is a few teams, like I mentioned, where Calvert-Lewin's style would fit, but with us, you can't play like that because, and I so many times I feel like he's in the way of the midfielders as well. Like I understand him dropping deep when it's like goal kicks and stuff like that, where the entire plan is kick it to him, he's going to drop it down to someone. But like we'll be on a counter attack and Calvert-Lewin will be in the 10, and I'm just sat there like, what? You know, if we're on the counter, just let one of those two run and you go into the box. I'm not I'm not a football manager, but it feels a lot more simple than what this team makes it out to be sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if it's sometimes he just like I don't know if it's just because he's not getting the ball as much as he likes, so he drops deep. I know I'd watched like the overlap recently, and they had it with Wayne Rooney where when he played striker, he said he didn't like it because he wanted to drop deep. And I don't know if that's the type of mentality he's got where he wants to be deep and come pick the ball up. But it makes it a lot harder for him because it doesn't really suit the system when he's not like, because if he comes deep and he's knocking it down and he knocks it down to the midfielder who knocks it out wide, he's put himself in a position where he's our only forward. He's got to get a really good jog on to get back in that penalty area to get on the end of anything that might come in for him, which just makes his job 10 times harder, especially when you've got last season his fitness was good again, but the 2 seasons before he'd struggled. You just got to make sure, you're not blowing your gasket early as well, because it's asking a lot for a striker. Back in the day, strikers just mainly ran in behind. And I know that's changed now, but sometimes I think it's a little bit of him coming back and not getting back up there quick enough. But it's weird. It is weird.
And he's constantly being outperformed by Beto as well.
Well, I was going to say, Beto got a goal chalked offside here, but it comes onto this thing we talked about last month. We're on about Beto or DCL, and I think I'd said, if he carries on like this, you've got to give him more minutes. And I don't think he has got the minutes he deserves, Beto. I think you've got to. I don't think he's very good either, but you've got to play players who are in form, and he is getting. I don't know how to describe him other than he causes a nuisance and he gets goals within the chaos.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I think he's perfectly suited to what his role is now, which is coming off the bench and causing problems. I think if he started, I just think he'd end up annoying us, or he would get a goal early, but then he'd tire himself out half an hour in, and it's one of those And I'll give Calvert-Lewin the credit, and I think it's an easier way to move us on to the West Ham game. From everything you see, it looked like he played pretty well against West Ham, and again, this is just looking at a stat sheet here, and it looked like Fabianski just had a really good game in goal for him. Fourth, but it's like here, again, I can't remember the game play by play, and if you can, who's watching this video, congratulations, but he's had 4 shots this game, and I'm looking at 3 of these shots and thinking, how is one of these on target? And it's like the example I can think of is, for example, if anyone who's watching this goes onto football and goes onto this game and looks at Calvert-Lewin, he's got 2 shots in basically identical positions. One's on target and one's looks quite well placed. The other one's about 200 yards wide, and he's half a yard of space difference. I understand there can be a lot of a lot of factors in that, the positioning of the defenders, the positioning of the goalkeeper. But honestly, I don't need you to arrow every goal into the top corner. I'm not expecting that. And it's like, I think that's his biggest issue, is getting the ball on target. Because you look at games like this where he's getting four chances at goal, where it looks like he's actually causing issues, and then he's only getting one of those four on target. Again, some of it might be factors that are not down to him. I don't remember the game exactly, to be honest with you, but it's one of those where he has to do better with the chances he's got. And maybe it's a thing where it is the manager, and maybe it is a thing where it's the style of play and it's the thing and all of it. But again, we can't say that until it's proven. So we can only go off right now and the past, what we've got when he's played, and it's why I'm kind of thinking maybe two up top would be the best for us, because it's when Calvert-Lewin's probably been at his best as well, when he's had someone like Richarlison next to him.
Yeah, I think I don't think he's going to change. He said, didn't he, Deitch, that what did he say? He said we tried two up top and got overran, and like people were like, why does he think the only two up top formation is a 4-4-2? And like I mean I get what people say when they dug him out for that, but also he's not going to play a 3-back / 5-back. It's nothing. Deitch has never done it. He's not going to start.
I think the annoying part is he could. The personnel's there for it. Like, it's the annoying part, and this is the thing, is I know some people go, well, it's Deitch, he won't, like you just mentioned there. Is that not part of his problem? Is that, this unwillingness to try? We're losing games or not winning games either way. If we played, like, let's just say a 3 with a 2 up top, and we've played really well, but we lost 1-0. A lot of our fans would complain, but I'd look at it and go, you know what? It's progress forwards. Because at the end of the day, I understand a lot of people go, well, whenever we've played a 3-back in the past, it hasn't worked. Okay, you're telling me about something from 3 years ago under a completely different manager with different sets of players. Why do I care? What do you expect me to? And I know it's dark, but I think it's like a thing where I think the personnel's there, to be honest with you. I think it still surprises me that Jake O'Brien doesn't get a sniff. And we've just paid £15 million for him or something around there. And I just think, like, should we not be playing a system that best fits our players into it, instead of just going, well, we're going to shove you in this sloppy 4-2-3-1 that just clearly doesn't work and there's nothing behind it. Good luck. Like,
yeah, I mean, I will say, if he did go to a 5, we'd have. I mean, you can't win either way, because then he'd have to play some people that people don't like. I don't know if Ashley Young's got it in him to be a right wing back at the age of 39.
Do you not think it's a bit easier though to play as a right wing back? In certain systems it's not, but again, I think having the extra defender behind him limits the amount of tracking back he has to do. It lets him get forward and cross the ball, which is probably what he's best at now. And again, it's like, you can easily go to Mikalenko right now and go, listen, mate, you're the one who's going to get back a bit more. You can have, I think there's ways you can play a 3-back to still fit all your players' strengths. But it's like,
I'll put Mikalenko on there, to be fair. If he's going to play,
I wouldn't have Mikalenko anywhere near it either, but I don't think we've got a choice right now.
Yeah,
or even like Patterson. Like,
I know Patterson. I think Patterson proved in that under-21s game why he doesn't get games.
No, but it's like, at the end of the day, he's never going to improve if you don't get given games. And like,
no, I know, but getting sent off in an under-21s game when you're meant to be,
we say that, but like,
is mad.
We were losing 3-2, 3-0 to a non-league side in a behind closed doors game not long ago. It's the same level of football, if we're being honest, right? And it's one of those where it's like, every player has a stinker. If I'm going to be honest, I don't care that it was in an under-21s game. How old's Patterson as well? Realistically, I do think he should probably get a loan. I mentioned this, and I think we should loan him to the Championship, see how he does, and then we can gauge something from that. And Surely there's a right back out there who we can get at a decent price in January.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
I'd be
I'm not
shocked if
sure.
the Friedkins are coming in and then going, we'll give you a little bit in January. I'm not expecting 60 mil, but like, we can give you 15, 20 million in January. See if you can work with out on that. But it's like, if we just stick with this, at the end of the day, right, if we stick with this crap 4-2-3-1, which isn't winning games, brutally honest, we're going to get relegated. It's because it's like, at the end of the day, we're not winning games, and yeah, we're not losing games either. But you look at a few of these games, maybe we should have. We're losing to teams like Southampton, and it's at a point now where I think personally I've been kind enough with Dyche where it's like I haven't pushed him out or anything, and I understand that this team is a death sentence for managers. It is, I think, but it's like you're watching something that is just obviously not working in the most important part about football, which is scoring goals. Because yeah, if you don't concede goals, you're not going to lose games. If you don't score goals, you're not going to win them. At the end, surely he sits and watches this and goes, "We are not scoring to save our lives. Something has to change." And it might not. I'm not saying it has to be a free back, but like, is it an extra one in midfield maybe? And unfortunately, someone has to get dropped who maybe shouldn't be dropped. But it's at the end of the day is the system's not working, and maybe this system is Dyche looking at it going, we need to get all the best players on the pitch now. And if that is the case, then it's not working. And it's like, because look at the 3 games this month, all winnable, 100%.
Yeah,
Especially Southampton and Brentford, with Brentford getting a man sent off. Because again, we'll get to Brentford when we get to it, but we got absolutely hammered by a team with 10 men.
yeah. This month was our best, our easier month before coming in, which we'll go on to at the end of the video. We'll look at December's stuff. But I think it just shows a problem, especially like West Ham as well, who are really struggling at the minute. Like at the time recording, they were getting beat 5-2 last time I checked by Arsenal. They're really, really in free for West Ham. I think they've just proven their manager switch was a bad idea. And like you said, Brentford, a man sending off. Although it's always going to be a tough, once they had the man sending off, it was always going to be tough because they just sat back and used their pace. I think one of the biggest problems, and people have said it for a while, is there's no Lindstrom's quick-ish, but I'm not convinced he's. I think he might need longer than just 3 months to settle in. Players from foreign leagues always need a little bit longer to adjust to Premier League. You normally get the best out of them second
It's
season.
It's why I'm always a bit iffy on loaning players from foreign leagues as well, because it's like, the thing is with Lindstrom is I think my main issue with him is he might have the worst end product in front of goal I've ever seen for an Everton player. It is horrendous. But the worst part is he'll get there and he'll get the shot off, and you're like, oh, you'll sit up a bit because you're like, oh, here you go, he's doing something all right here, and then it's just. He'll get in front of goal now, and let's say against United, right? He gets 3 1-on-1s in front of goal. I'm going to sit there every time, even if he scores the first 2, and go, he's missing this.
It's what I imagine people like Fulham fans think of Adama Traore. But it's also Bernard. I thought Bernard was like that when he played for us. He was fantastic up until goal, and then he'd absolutely cack his pants in front of goal.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Actually, Bernard, I completely forgot he existed, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like West Ham. I think the simple thing is with West Ham is I don't know. Should we have won this game? I mean, 18 shots, and I don't know why it doesn't tell me how many shots we had on target. There we go, 4 of them on target. West Ham, I don't know why it doesn't tell me where the shots on target were from. It's just showing me all the shots in general, but like, it's just one of those where it should have been better. I do remember the one chance where Somerville just ran back and fair play to him. It was just some ridiculous tackle or interception. But again, I think it does also kind of show how slow our attack is. Again, Somerville's not slow, but he was able to get up, track back, all the way back to block it by the time we'd considered having a shot.
We need pace out on those wide areas as well for Dyche because, he likes, and McNeil's not blistering with pace. He's a very good player, but he's not someone who I'd describe as quick.
It might have been Ndiaye who he blocked. Because I'm looking at Ndiaye now, and Ndiaye had a shot on target. I feel like Somerville might have blocked Ndiaye. I feel like that might be right. But again, Ndiaye, do you not just feel like Ndiaye's wasted a little bit? Let me just get this for context. I'll mention this as well to you. Against West Ham, 7 out of 10 successful dribbles. Is that not a player who should be used down the middle? Especially if Dwight McNeil's not playing as well. McNeil's not playing, and before I dig myself a hole here, I guess against West Ham we just had no other wingers. But then should we be playing a formation with wingers if we actually don't have wingers? Lindstrom's an attacking midfielder and Dye's an attacking midfielder. Surely that game against West Ham, we're going to have to go narrow here, boys.
Yeah, I think. I forgot what I was going to say now. I think
sorry.
I like the pace. Harrison's a good player, but again, not someone I count as pace. As pacey. When you look at some of the teams that are doing well in the Prem, you look at Brentford, who everyone's raving about Thomas Frank and showing that they their support for him, that they want him. Which, by the way, he's a good manager. Not saying that he doesn't deserve those type of plaudits at all, but when you look at their squad and people are I see people go, but they've got, they're not that much better than us, which I think's I think is quite selective thing to say because
is it? Let me make sure I'm not missing some stinkers here. Looking against us, where I'm just scrolling to check the injuries as well, just to be careful. But it's better keeper. Their fullbacks that game reeked. Keane Lewis Potter played left back and did us in by the looks of it. Again, I'm going to be brutally honest here. Didn't watch the full game. Didn't have time. Was busy. So a lot of my knowledge of this game is going off the first little bit that I did watch, so about half an hour or so, and then FootMob ratings. Going to be completely honest. But Pinnock and Collins, decent centre back partnership, but not bad. Not Branthwaite and Tarkowski were top 4 in the league defensively last season.
I think when you do it like that, our squad's stronger. But what I mean is, if you look at what they're good at, so you could say Frank should come to Everton. Half the reason they do well is the fact that they've got two really quick lads up front, and then a couple of creative players around.
Is that not because of Thomas Frank?
Well, no, it's because he signed them. But to say that he's going to come to Everton without a transfer window and have that effect is a bit ludicrous because we don't have 2 fast players in the form of Wisser and Barlow, and we don't have a creative outlet like Damsgaard or Lewis Potter. Maybe Ndiaye, but one of the main things with Brentford when you watch them is that they use their pace to their advantage, and they do play
bench as well. The bench is very the lad who scored a hat-trick today, young German lad, he's ridiculously quick, and most of the time he comes off the bench. And
I'm not being funny, but they do play long balls at Brentford. So if half the problem is that you don't like that we're kicking it forward, you're not going to watching us under Thomas Frank because the ball is going forward there. But it works because they've got players that are quick enough to get on the end of these balls. We're knocking it forward, and our players aren't quick enough to get on the end of it, so it just looks bad. So what I'm saying is our squad on paper is better, but theirs is better suited to the style that they're trying to play.
I don't think ours is far off though. I think if you look at ours, I think the big issue for us wouldn't actually be the forward line; it'd be the midfield. Because with them, they've got. Do we have a Norgard? I know he got one against us, but like I guess Idrissa Gueye, really high tackling numbers. I think Norgard's a lot better going forward, but yeah, but then we don't have like a Jensen, and Jensen's not an amazing player, but that playmaker sort of midfielder that can get the ball, drive it up, and do stuff with it. Because I think for the example with them, so they have Damsgaard. Then if Damsgaard can't get into the game, they've got Jensen. Or for example, they've got Mbemo. If Mbemo can't get in, they've got Wissa. They've got like a hierarchy of things almost. And I think, yeah, I think that's the one thing with our fans is I think a lot of them want nice football. You're not going to get that with Thomas Frank. But I also do say if we out of every manager that if we're going to say Thomas Frank's realistically attainable for next season, is he probably towards the top of the list? Maybe even top of the list? Probably because I think it's because I think the thing is what we're looking for is we're not looking to fire 10 places up the table. We're looking to be good mid-table, potentially maybe towards the Conference League. Can Thomas Frank do that? Yes, he's currently doing it with Brentford and has almost done it before with Brentford. And I think it's a thing where how much do Brentford spend a year?
I was just about to say though, it's different again. Brentford are really well. Like it's not just Thomas Frank; it's the fact it's a really well-run club from top to bottom, and they buy unearthed gems and then sell them for good profits. They're just a really well-run club and have been for years, and are now reaping the positives of being a well-run football club.
Yeah, I think
we're not a well-run football club, hence why we're in this mess because we've reaped our rewards, we've reaped our punishments for being poorly run. Which is why when people go, "Oh, I can't believe they robbed us."
I don't think it's hard to be a well-run football club. It's not at all. You know what? One easy example I think of a football club who in my mind, I've always pictured as being run crap in recent years. Fulham. Whenever I picture Fulham, besides recently, but since Silver, it was their entire strategy was just, well, we're going to spend money, ridiculous amount of money on good players with no plan of them what to do with them. Nottingham Forest, you know,
ran a bit mental. Yeah, he is a bit. He's
let
a
me
bit
think
of
of some other teams. Even someone like there's a few teams who are run absolute who've in the past have been run absolute crap, and then literally within a matter of 2 or 3 seasons have turned it around. It's not. It's as simple as let the football people do the football people job. I think it is, and my hope is that thankfully Mashiri looks to be out. Hopefully, at the rate it's going, and the next time we do this video, it's going to be the Friedkins are in. So I think it's like, is it a thing where all of a sudden Dash is able to do a much better job because the funds are made of it? I don't know. I don't think so, to be honest. But I think it's one where it's not hard for us if Thomas Frank comes in to put the right people around him. Because again, is it that hard to go to Brentford and go, we've give your manager a pay rise, you're the director, you want to come and we'll give you a bit more money as well? It's not hard, you know. We should be able to tempt people away from Brentford, but at the same time, I also understand why. For example, if we offered Thomas Frank the job, he'd turn around and go, no, why am I doing that? You know, so it's one of those where I don't really want to keep talking about a new manager because we've got the current one in, but I don't think it's as difficult to run at least a steady football club in the Premier League as people make out it is. Especially a team in our position with where we should be going into next season anyway. Right now, under Mashiri, I understand why it's a shit show. But if we're going off the logic that the only reason this Friedkin takeover fails is because we are the most unlucky people on the planet team-wise, because it looks like it's done. It looks like every process is done. Brand new stadium, one of the best in the league. And ticket prices are going up. There's an extra, 15,000 capacity? Is it? High
Okay.
40,000s, mid 50,000s, is it?
Yeah, I think it's like mid 50.
Yeah, so an extra 10,000 seats, let's say, than Goodison. Higher, there's realistically no reason, but have I got much hope? No, no, because it's us. But it's a thing where you just look at it against West Ham. We were talking about the West Ham game. You just the easy summary of it was we were crap, and then the chances we didn't get, we take them on. We go into the Brentford game. Same thing happened again. Got given a golden opportunity with a red card. Didn't take advantage of it. Had 27 chances with one big chance all game.
Again,
5 shots on target from 27 shots. Okay, 10 of those were blocked. But, like, come on.
to be fair, again, this is again, but I'm not like if people are watching, I'm not like saying I don't want Thomas Frank. I think he's very, very good. I'm just saying I think people need to realise that you're not going to get tiki taka with him,
Yeah,
which I
100%.
find. But this was great from him as well because as soon as the man got sent off, he made it really. It made it tough for us, which is all we see it quite a lot now when a player gets sent off. It actually makes it tougher because the teams start to drop a bit deeper. They start to try and fill the gap in by being narrower. And they did that really well. And like I said, they have players that are quick. So it was them dropping deep, staying narrow. Then when they get the chance, bam, ball's going forward, players that can run onto it. And it invites us as well. So we're invited on. Our defensive line's gone higher up the pitch. So it can cause quite a lot of danger. And I think it did cause a bit of problems because Brentford did have their chances. Again, it's annoying, and when you look on paper, you think man sent off for the tackle, which I know they've had it rescinded. It looked quite nasty though at the time.
I think it wasn't red. I think
Yeah, it stood.
you can't go in like that. And I know what they say is, oh, well, you can't use one freeze for him. I'm like, come on, like that's a bit more force than Pickford's knees in the Gladys Street.
I was going to say I think Pickford's quite lucky anyway to come out of that unscathed because it looked horrendously nasty.
Because at the end of the day, it's his studs in on his knee. I
Yeah,
get the point of he didn't mean to do it. It doesn't matter, you know. I don't think Son or whoever it was meant to break Andre Gomez's leg. It happened, didn't it? You know, it's not
definitely
that bad.
take
But
him down now. He definitely
yeah,
meant to, I was there watching it live with my dad. He definitely meant to take him down because he turned
oh,
around and
100%
he
meant to
started
take him down.
grimacing.
But like, or
Yeah,
like,
his leg though, but
I know Liverpool fans always get wound up about the Pickford Van Dijk thing, but Pickford didn't mean to
yeah,
annihilate Van Dijk's, and you know what I mean. But again, and that's a prime example of stuff like that can happen. Pickford's probably, brutally honest, a bit worse than what Norgard did to the thingy. But I think it's one of those where it's definitely a red. But I think you mentioned it, and it was something I wanted to mention. You mentioned it perfectly, and it's the one thing I do like about Thomas Frankie's. I think he's one of the better managers in the league at assessing the opposition and making changes based off that.
yeah, because he
Thomas
played
Frank,
a 4-3-3
look,
here. He's played a 4-4-2 today.
yeah, like
When they,
he's looked at us and gone, these lot of crap with the ball. Give them the ball. Even before the man sent off, I think we had a. Well, give me a second here. I can probably get it up. If I go to screw, I don't even know how to do it. Yeah, I can probably get the first half possession up. There we go. Stats. If I go here, first half, they actually had a little bit more possession than us, which surprises me. But even you look at the second half. If we look at the second half, then he's just gone. Right, we're going to sit back and we're going to let them have the ball. And I think he knew deep down that we don't do well when we're given the ball. If you look at the on football again, I mentioned they have the little momentum bar, where it kind of shows you how they get. Majority of the game is us. I'd say there's one major peak of control from Brentford, which is like 5 minutes. There's a few little dots of like a minute or two of control. The rest is all us. And there's 100% that's Thomas Frank going before the game. These lot of crap with the ball. They're not creating chances. They're just going to pop, which is why I think they've had so many block shots as well. They know we like a pot shot, so he's probably just gone. Just make sure you're ready to get in the way of those long shots, and it's worked perfectly for him. And Yeah, don't get me wrong, they never looked like they were scoring either. Maybe in that little period before the sending off, but like you look at it and go, when you get a red card, he's probably sat thinking, "We're away here. We had a man sent off. A point's a good thing. Go on, get the point," and he gets it. So I think it's one of those, and it's where I think it also kind of it highlights the lack of adaptability from Dyche. Like I understand his process of make the wrong change, they can catch us on the counter and score, but it's like you just look at the changes he made and go, really, you know, are we not going to at least like? I think he took off Lindstrom for Beto and Decore was horrendous from what I saw him in this game, by the way. And
Beto had a good cameo. He had like
and
four.
yeah, and then Mangala for which, by the way, I don't remember the context going into this game. Mangala should be starting ahead of Decore every game anyway. I think he's 10 times the player in that role than Decore is. I just think Decore is just I think you can tell Father Time's catching up to him. And Mangala, unironically, is a player I'd like us to sign, especially with Leon's financial issues, since I think he'll be available for much cheaper now. I do think we should be swooping in on that. But I think it's just looking at it and going. I guess the one defense for Deitch is kind of who does he bring on besides who he brought on. But like even I'd rather him at least attempted to bring maybe another attacker on to go for it because we can't say, well, Brentford might have counter-attacked us when we had no proof of that the entire second half, really. So it's just a little bit more ambition. It's just in a game like this where I do think Dyche just sat and thought, a point against Brentford, they're really good form. In and around the European places, I believe. It's a good point. But it's like, I don't know. From the way I think about it is you surely look at it and go, this run in December is going to be horrendous. And surely he sits and thinks, I need to win here. I need to win. Because I just brutally honest, right? Even if we'd have lost this game, congratulations, mate, you got sacked 2 games earlier than you might actually get sacked. It's like, again, I don't want to quite, but is it just me or a lot of the times feeling like at this point you don't care if you get sacked?
Well, I mean, I was going to say that there's no point sort of talking about the new manager or whatever. I don't think he does. I don't think he does get sacked, and I think he might be aware of that potentially. But like to sack him, we'd have to pay out quite a bit, which is the first problem. Secondly, his contract's up at the end of the season anyway. I think even with the Fredinkins come in, we'd have to be in a really, really, really bad position for them to make the change. Otherwise, they just see him as safe enough hands this season that he'll get through this season and then we move on. I personally
think it depends on the. I think it's the available managers.
Yeah,
I think it's like a thing. For example, if we talk to Brentford and Thomas Frank goes, "Yeah, I'll join in January," then we sack him and pay the money. If the Galatasaray manager says, "Yeah," like I know he's Turkish league, the guy got 100 points and just beat Tottenham a few weeks ago. The fella's clearly a good manager. You know what I mean? Like you've got to be pretty decent to break your league's points record and then be going into Europe and winning all your games as well. I know Galatasaray have got a ridiculously good team, but at the same time, they're the main ones I've seen linked to us. But I understand not sacking him. I won't want to sack him and then get like Potter in or Steve Cooper in, for example, something like that. But I do think I think this is how the Freakins are looking at it as well, which is why I think we're getting so much rumours on us looking at managers. I think it's like a thing where if the right one becomes available, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if we did it in like February. To be completely honest with you, if we're in a bad position, but I think it's one of those where I guess at the same time, is a new manager going to help us win any games in this month, sort of thing, or is it just going to give a new manager a bad start, sort of thing? But if there's no plan on who to get in, if there's no specific name, then just let him keep the job. I do think if he stays, there's a chance of us getting relegated. But I do still think it's a small chance, depending on how other teams do, and obviously depending if the free. Because I do think either way, there is going to be money there in January. because like I think it looks like anyway. We even with some of the players we signed this summer, the plan is to more maybe play around a system than a certain manager. Because I still don't think Illerman and Dyche like a Sean Dyche type of player. I don't think Armando Broy is a Sean Dyche type of striker, sort of, for example. So I think it's one of those where I think the players are going to be brought in for a certain type of system, maybe. And again, maybe if Dyche is given a few more quality players, he's able to do a bit more. But yeah, I do think just sacking him with no idea on who to bring in is how we always get in this problem in the original place and why we're not able to keep a manager for more than 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked. We'd have to be really up the creek without a paddle for me to think that they'll sack him. It'll be interesting to see what they go for. I see a couple of people thinking that they might keep it Italian and go for Sarri because they like him at Roma, but they didn't want to employ him at Roma because I think it came from it might have been Sean Lunt, the journalist, said it. He was like, but they weren't going to ever do it at Roma because of the rivalry. So keep an eye on that one. Yeah, I feel like they potentially have certainly the draw to draw some big names, but we'll have to wait and see what they do when they come in. I don't expect wholesale changes straight away either. I think they'll at least meet him and say you've got. I think they say till the end of the season, but certainly they'll give him at least a month or so to try and change his fortunes. I don't think they're going to.
I mean, it might just be a warning thing. They might come in and tell him we're going to keep you, but we're not scared of sacking you. So like, don't think you can rest on your laurels, sort of thing. We're not afraid of sacking you. We're just going to give you a chance.
Yeah, I think they I can't see them coming in and straight away being like you're off because I think it just, especially the worse we do, the more upheaval that is, and I just feel like they'll probably.
Do you know what the thing is? I don't think there is that much upheaval. I mean, realistically, this is still the same squad that should have finished 12th last season.
Yeah, but if you sack a manager though, then you got to have someone else come in. You got to have them adjust to that.
I think that's the thing though. Is if he goes straight away, then I think there's already a name ready. It has to be. I think if they immediately sacked him, they already know who they're getting in. Which, to be fair, would probably excite me a bit because that makes me think, well, they've had this planned now and they've got something ready in mind. Because there's it's like you said, there's no way they just go in, sack him, and then go, right, now what do we do?
Yeah.
Duncan Ferguson, you've just left for your job. You ready for another interim role? So I think you're right. I do think going off all logic of merit and performance, he should be sacked. I think he just outright should be, but unfortunately, right now with the position we're in, there's more context to that. So I think you are right. I think he's going to end up staying till the end of the season. Probably finish 16th, 15th. Again, to be fair, was it last season around this time of year, just after Christmas? Because I think we had a really bad run in December as well last season, didn't we?
Yeah, he always starts the year badly anyway.
And then second half after the points. When was the points deduction? I feel like it was like January. That feels about right. December, January.
Whenever we played United last year, it was just before that game, the first one.
Like United last year was Boxing Day.
Potentially. I mean,
we didn't get the points deduction on Christmas. Definitely didn't. But I feel like it was around late 23, early 24 when we went on that nice little run after the points deduction. But I also feel like a lot of that's because of the points deduction. So it's like, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Galvanized a little bit, sort of thing. I still think we'll be okay because you'll look and go, is there 3 teams worse than us in the Prem? And I think there are.
I think it all depends on what we do in January. And I do think there's going to be some investment because I think the Friedkins are going to look at it and go, right, this is a bit too close for our liking. And I think there is some major holes that need filling in the team. Like, for example, left back. I'm surprised we haven't done it, but Mikolenko, his positioning is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, going forward, he just is. I thought we were spoiled having Leighton Baines and then Luca Dean coming straight after him anyway, because I'll
never forgive Rafa Benitez. Never
that's a
forgive him.
very, very good sort of like replacement for Baines. But then like I thought at the time maybe we're spoiled getting that lucky. And now I watch Mikalenko and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
We,
Maybe
we
we
were
were
so
'cause
we were
going
so blessed at left
awful.
back that we ended up sacking off someone who is now form wise arguably one of the better left backs in the league.
Yeah, again, though, like I said, mismanagement. If you're not ran properly, if you run properly, you get the rewards in the end. If you're not ran properly, you get the punishments in the end. And I think that's what we've seen a couple of times here. Is if you're not run very well, comes back to bite you in the end.
I'm
So, but I
surprised
think
we
we'll be.
haven't
I
been in
think
that
we will be
position.
safe. I think we will be safe. There are a few clubs that are around. I think if West Ham don't book, the West Ham will be the next one to change their managers. I think because I
Yeah.
think they'll be getting a bit twitchy now.
I do think eventually Calvert-Lewin's going to start scoring as well, to be honest. He's in a contract year. He's going to mysteriously get to March and he's going to score 10 goals between March and the end of the season.
Yeah,
Mysteriously when he's about to go on the free agent market.
it'll be
And
interesting to see what he does because come January he'll be up. People can approach him outside of the Premier
good,
League.
I don't think we should even offer him a new deal. I'm going to be brutally honest. I
I
just
think he's
don't
been
think we should.
offered, hasn't he been offered numerous times, and the talks have stalemated a bit.
Yeah. Well, he'll want to be one of the club's highest earners. Why should he be? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's potential that a Saudi club could come in.
I'd much rather us save the 80, 90, 100 grand we're going to give him. Just go out and spend 20, 30 mil on a striker. I'd rather have that lad from Ipswich if they go down.
Liam Delap.
Yeah. I don't think he'd join us. Saying that, this is what I mean. I think most clubs in the Prem have
We
got an
liked the
established
Luton.
striker now.
We liked that the lad from Luton. Is it Adebayo last year?
Well, I'm glad we didn't sign him.
Yeah, we were really big on him apparently last
I'm
year.
trying to think who is. I'm trying to think. Forest probably because Chris Wood's old are going to need a striker, and Forest seem to be one of those teams that like to sniff around relegated teams. Again, Palace maybe because Mateta's been a bit.
They have a bad bit of luck, Palace, don't they? Because I think everyone thought Edouard was going to be good for them.
But
Because he was
but
Celtic.
what I'm thinking is realistically, you look at someone like a Delap. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to get him. So I just look at it and go, he's not going to want 100 grand a week. He's probably maybe going to want 60, 70. I'd rather just pay, and I guarantee he's got a relegation release clause. I think 90% of the players at Ipswich will. So it's like, is it a thing where you just go wipe your? Yeah, I think we should wipe our hands clean with him, and I don't think it's a lot of it. I don't think is really anything to do with him. I think it's just, I think there's players who are better than him, who will want less money than him, and is it worth? Because surely he wants over 100 grand a week. Because I think we're paying Pickford 100 in summer, and I think he'll want to be on that level, and I don't think he's worth that. I think it's no slight on him, but you can't be getting paid over 100 grand a week and scoring 6 goals a season.
It'll be interesting to see how Broja, obviously him and Chimiti were both playing for the under-21s, I think it was the other day. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when Broja comes back because that's the striker we've chased or been rumoured to be chased for the last, 3 seasons now, is it? I think
I
Lampard.
will say with Broja, I think I mentioned this when we signed him. I think when I watched him in the Euros, he impressed me quite a lot.
Yeah. Albania,
But I do think he was it a few times for Albania, was it? I think it was Albania. I'm sorry if I've got that wrong, but
yeah,
I feel there were a few times it looked like you were able to get something out of nothing, which is probably the type of striker we need. But also, what's our clause for him? 30-something million.
Yeah.
He's going to have to score from now till the end of the season 12, 13. It's going to have to be minimum double digits for us to even blink at that again. Even though it wouldn't surprise me if we were able to end up getting him for cheaper. and Chelsea are willing to negotiate. But we'll have to see how he does. I think he's a good player. I think he's another one where he's had bad luck with injury. But I just think we can't be spending 30 odd million on someone whose goal record isn't really there. But in his defence, I guess Liam Delap falls under that same category, and it looks like he's doing all right for Ipswich so far. So we'll have to see. It looks like he's going to get given the chance against United from everything we've seen. So hopefully he does well, obviously, but we'll just have to see. But I just think there's no real world, I think, where Calvert-Lewin should be getting 100 and some grand a week unless he plays like an 100 just some grand a week striker, which is at least 10 league goals.
Yeah, I think once he comes, I mean, it's if he plays him. I was going to say it should spur them all on to have a third person, but at the minute you've got Beto and Calvert-Lewin, and I still think in some aspect Calvert-Lewin knows his place in the team is well and truly safe.
I think he doesn't want to stay as well. You know, sort of when like players start to get the hate from the fans and they just look at it and go, I'm not staying here. I think Calvert-Lewin's at that point now, which I kind of get from his perspective. You know, I probably wouldn't like to play for us either, but, you know, it's a thing where I think a lot of the crap Calvert-Lewin gets, footballing-wise, is deserved. Very, very clearly underlined footballing-wise there. But it's just one of those, isn't it, where you look at it and go, how can you sit and ask for this much money when what's he scored? 2? Has he even scored 2?
Yeah, he scored 2.
So you've got 2. You know, as Dwight McNeil, I don't think has scored in a month, and has still got more goals than him. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, I do think he needs to. It'd just be interesting. It'll be really interesting come January who puts, like who's linked with him and who starts putting contracts his way.
I think a few Italian clubs will, because I think Italy's starting to get that bit of a reputation now as sort of similar to what the Bundesliga was, but almost in reverse. So, you know, like how the Bundesliga's young English talent can go and get a chance. Serie A's kind of become unwanted English talent can go and get given a chance. And you look at Tomori smashing it, Loftus-Cheek really well. I think there's a few other English lads over there as well who, or Scottish as well. I know quite a few Italian clubs look around the Scottish league, so I think it's. I just see him go. It's either Italy, or for example, I could see a Brentford maybe. Just think because Frank does love a big. And you know what? I think Calvert-Lewin would do well at Brentford, to be honest. I do think he would do well at Brentford. I just think he's not suited to the style of football we play, where the style of football we play under Dyche, which again, in his defence, a different manager, we might be talking a different story. You know, for example, a Thomas Frank, I do think he'd work under. So I think he's a good player, but I just think he just doesn't suit the way we're going to play. And the only way we should be keeping him is, you know, if the plan is to bring in a manager who can utilise him best, which don't get me wrong, if he signs a new 120 grand a week deal, probably should be part of when we're looking for a new manager, someone who can use this 120 grand a week striker.
Yeah, I like you said, it depends on the manager as well who comes in and stuff like that. I think it'll be interesting. We'll have to wait and see. But
I will say though, is if we sack Dyche, a manager comes in as Calvert-Lewin starts banging him in until the end of the season, it is a damning indictment on Sean Dyche for ever getting another Premier League job. If someone comes in and we absolutely smash it until the end of the season and maybe finish, let's say, 12th, 11th again, but everyone looks revitalised, honestly, it won't surprise me if Sean Dyche gets Chris Wilder out of the league. And where he's only getting jobs that, like, he might get Burnley, it might give him another chance. Because to be honest, they've given up on playing nice football now. They play some horrendous football under Scott Parker.
Yeah, well, again, depends who we get in, when we get them in. If it's the summer, they'll obviously have a whole summer to buy. who they think they need. Which is the other thing. In January, you don't really want to be buying players because everybody's extortionately priced. Because if you want them in January, you must be quite desperate. So I'm a little bit concerned that prices are going to be higher than they would in the summer. But
it's time to start buying out Leon's entire squad.
yeah, I was going to say there are teams out there that are struggling. Leon look like they could do with offloading quite a lot of players quite quickly.
I am interested to see how they go with Mangala anyway. I am
Yeah,
very interested because, like, financially, the drop to Liga and to Ligue 2 is horrendous.
I'll be interested to see after Texter not owning us now.
I said that to my dad. I went, I'm glad he don't own us now. Like, I don't know. I haven't read fully into it. So, again, it might be something which is out of his control, really, but I don't know what it is. Is it just no money? Is it they've cheated or something? I don't really know. I just know they're getting relegated, apparently.
I think things have changed in the league as well, but like I think it's a bit of both. Like I don't think he's ran them sensibly safely, but I also think the league there might have been changes in the league I heard that have caused the sort of downfall.
Is it not to do with TV rights?
Yeah, like I think it's the TV rights and the way that works. But I just wonder how he'll be because obviously he wanted to own. Well, he said he wanted to own us, and now doesn't. I don't know if the deal like Mangala, we were getting that on like I can loan you him because it's fine because eventually I'll own you type thing. And now that he's not, he might be a bit more like, well, don't really own you, not really.
I think the thing is if they are getting an enforced relegation, does he have the ability to be spiteful to us?
Yeah.
Or is it just a thing where you've offered for him, we've got to take your money, which it's sad. Because again, I remember Leon from very young, consistently winning leagues. From when I first started watching football, or being very good. I always remember Leon being very good. So it's Leon. It's very weird to. It'd kind of be like watching us go down. You know what I mean? In a sense, where like you look at the past few years and you probably think, this maybe it's been coming, but then you're also like, oh, they just don't look right.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Like they're a big club, so it'd be really weird to see. It'd be interesting. I think though, in terms of the review, that is the review done. I think this month's been a tough month. Next month is tougher. We'll have to come back to this in a month's time and see where we're at then. I think it can get a lot worse, and I worry it will get a lot worse. And next month we're just sat here at a wit's end, sort of thing. But yeah, I think for now we'll end it here and just say hopefully December brings a bit of a couple of surprises our way at least. Yeah, certainly need at least one win as well. That Wolves game is looking like a must win.
Yeah, 100%. But knowing us, we'll lose against Wolves and then somehow we'll pick up 7 points in December and everyone's going to be like, what? How does that work? But hopefully, or else, next month you might be joining us for an I don't know, the Toffee Blues has suddenly become a RB Leipzig fan channel or something like that. I don't know, but jeez. I hope next month's not a rough one because I think we've had too many. What have we done? Is this the fourth one now?
Yeah.
Have we had one good one?
Not really, no. Not really.
We might be the problem,
Yeah, I was going to say this might be the problem, but God, yeah, fingers crossed, eh? But thank you for joining me, Cal. It's been a pleasure as always, mate.
Yeah, thank you for having me as always.
Don't forget, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your current thoughts. Let us know how many points you think we'll pick up in December. And then you never know, next month we might remember to look back at the comments and see which one of you were lucky. But yeah, do that and we'll see you soon.